रसोई के रहस्य आओ मिलकर खोले हम सब्जी दाल मसाले इन सबको टटोले हम रसोई के रहस्य आओ मिलकर खोले हम सब्जी दाल मसाले इन सबको टटोले हम रसोई के रहस्य आओ मिलकर खोले हम रसोई के रहस्य आओ मिलकर खोले हम।
नमस्कार, रसोई के रहस्य के इस नए एपिसोड में आप सबका स्वागत है। हम लोग फिर जुड़े हैं एक्सपर्ट टॉक के अगले एपिसोड में। आज का एपिसोड जो है एक फॉलो अप एपिसोड है। ये हमारे साथ आज फिर हैं मल्लिका जानकीरामन, जिनसे हम पहले भी मिल चुके हैं और इनके साथ करी थी हमने न्यूट्रिशन की बातें, हमने करी थी फास्टिंग की बातें और खासकर इंटरमिटेंट फास्टिंग के बारे में। इन्होंने बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन, बहुत जरूरी वैल्यूएबल इंफॉर्मेशन हमारे साथ शेयर करी थी और सुनने वालों के कुछ सवाल थे जो हमने इकट्ठे करे हैं और मल्लिका मैम को भेजे थे। आज मल्लिका मैम उनमें से 5 सवालों का जवाब हमको देंगी। So there are going to be answers to 5 questions here where she is going to clarify some of our doubts. So without wasting too much time, let's go over to Mallika ma'am. Mallika ma'am, welcome to Rasoi Ke Rahasya.
Thank you. I'm so excited that it's been a long time.
Yes, I
But
know.
yeah,
But it's okay. It's
things are
given
not
people more
as easy.
thought, people more time to think.
I know. I hope it's like an intermittent fasting. It's a long gap. So let's ease into the questions.
So I'll leave it to you now to start taking the questions. आपके पास सवाल हैं. So I would leave it to you to start answering and, going on with the explanations. Well, I'm going to listen to you as well.
Yes. So the first question that came about was, what are the do's and don'ts? All right.
Yes,
was one
that's
of the
right.
questions.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. A very good question. For anything, the do's and don'ts is never overdo anything, first of all. Ease into the way to first, when you're starting into any sort of program or diet or a nutritional change in pattern, I think you should first do it very slowly, ease into it. Just don't go quickly on board. It's like, I want to do an exercise and day one I start doing heavy lifting. You can't do that. You have to slowly ease yourself into it. So when you choose fasting as a pattern of eating changed behavior, then do it slowly. Like somebody who's been eating 4 meals a day or 5 meals a day and suddenly you want to fast, not eat on certain days, will be very difficult, because it will, especially for women, you might get a headache, you might get tired easily because you have other chores to do. So if you want to settle for a 16-8 hours of fasting, start with 12 hours gap and then eating for 12 hours. And then slowly, when you stabilize, you feel that you have adjusted to it, then you can do the 16-8 schedule. So this is the approach. Helps you to minimize any side effects. You might feel low and you go low on energy and you're not able to concentrate or maybe even work during your working hours. So that is why ease into whatever you do. It's like acclimatization to anything. So slowly get used to it and then go on board with your set plan.
Push it little in bits and pieces.
Yeah, slowly get into it. Like when you swim, you don't straight away swim. You use your, little tactics. Even for a baby, you give them the floats and then only they start swimming. So the same here. That is one of the do's. The other is try to keep a pattern. Do not fluctuate too much on your pattern. So like it's not a random fasting that you do for a festivity and then you feast afterwards. This is for a clear end goal. Either you want to lose weight in a sustained manner. The other one is set up a regimen. Say that when do you want to break your fast, when do you want to, have the 16-hour window or the 12-hour window, and decide that and try to have a timetable to follow. That is the other do's of the other do. Then what happens is when you're doing a fasting, it doesn't mean you cannot drink water. You need to hydrate yourself. 60% of your body is made up of water. And therefore make it a point to have a bottle of water during your fasting period and regularly dehydrate yourself. Do not go for any carbonated beverages or sugary drinks, but go for a glass of water and maybe a cup of tea without adding milk. Sometimes maybe a drop here and there is okay. And maybe coconut water without the added preservatives or added sugar. So
Right.
that is one thing that you can keep yourself hydrated. And the other one would be for you to be mindful of what you're eating when you're fasting, though it's fasting. And when you when you break your fast during the 8-hour window, be mindful. It doesn't mean you can feast during that 8 hours. You cannot, you know. And it's also nice to start with low calorie food like a salad, something, and then you get into your regular meal, because otherwise you're fasted for 16 hours and then you open up the window, the wind blows in. Okay, and you start eating everything. So just go a little slowly, increase your, the eating pattern, eating amount. So
you can't dump your body straight away with lots of calories after fasting for 12 or 16 hours.
Absolutely. You got it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't mean feasting, breaking a fast is feasting. I bring this point again.
Correct.
I think that is the difference between regimented fasting schedule for an end goal to be more healthy, to lose more of fat mass, to lose weight. You need to have a regimented one, and therefore you have to be mindful of what you eat. Fill your plate with half the plate with vegetables, because you can eat that more. At least 5 serves of vegetables in a day during that period, and 2 serves of fruits. Quarter plate of your plate filled with carbohydrates. Choose whole grains, less of refined carbohydrates, and then a quarter plate of proteins, which could be meat, or it could be lentils, it could be pulses. So it's a very easy one. You could actually do a trial mock period before your fasting regimen starts and see what can you fill your plate with during the 8-hour window, because it has to be nutritionally dense.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And therefore take care of that. And the other one would be, don't push yourself too hard. Don't be hard on yourself. Relax. There is sometimes you cannot do it. Don't push yourself and enjoy this period of fasting.
That's what I was just going to say. It's a process that you need to enjoy, because if you're mentally punishing yourself over it, then it defeats the complete purpose of it.
In anything you do in life, I think, sometimes I'm into some sort of beginning of a social space to do some social good, but it does stress you out. And then I say, what am I doing? I want... And sometimes I remember as a nutritionist, and those were the days when we were all practicing. हम लोग, meeting में जाते थे, 2-day conference में जाते थे, waiting to go and have a rabdi or a gulab jamun with ice cream.
Correct.
And then we are not.
That's what happens in fasting also. That's what happens when you're fasting, even for religious purposes. That's why you hear some of the scriptures. They tell you don't fast if you're going to be sitting and thinking about all the stuff that you're going to eat afterwards.
Exactly. And it's very funny, we don't realize that. And sometimes when you're fasting, you like to have a chocolate first before you start eating your food, because you feel you've done yourself justice to go and
you're going to be deprived of it, so let me go for it.
Yes, and then we feel 8 hours में क्या हो जाता? मैंने 16 hours fast कर दिया, but 8 hours में I have a liberty to overdo a little bit, but that's not right. You might overdo too much.
Correct.
And be conscious. And the thing to look at it is always look at, don't fast if you're on a medication. Check with your doctor. Don't fast when you are, on an insulin, because you'll have to get an advice. If you're pregnant, please do not do intermittent fasting. These are sometimes you'll have to go slow and take an advice, and don't do these fasting tactics, these periods. Do watch out. And that's what I would say are some of the do's and don'ts. And if there are any other specific questions that come up, I'm happy to,
Just thinking what happens in this case, sometimes we don't realize, but people who suffer with, let's say, gastritis or a chronic kind of acidity issue and things like that, where again, people say that, small meals and things like that. Is there any sort of impact you think the 16-hour rate might have on a person like that? Of course, you are doing small meals and intermittent.
No, but you don't do that. You see, there are things like if you do a 5-2 where you're really fasting fasting on 2 days and not on 2 consecutive days, that's when you do a smaller, low calorie, 500 calorie worth of meal on the 2 days of fasting. But if this is a very good question, I don't have a straight answer for it.
No, just what you think. What would you advise?
I would say get yourself stabilized, because if you have some sort of an ulcer or you have a reflex thing, I think you should not do this much. Or maybe you can be more calorie restricted than intermittent fasting. So that would be a choice you should take. Definitely it's all individual cases. Consult your dietitian, because no one size fits all approach. It has
Absolutely. Yeah. And it shouldn't be something that you think just because it's something that works, it's going to work all the time. It's not. Sometimes when you begin,
yes.
शुरू कर दिया, लेकिन थोड़े दिन के बाद you realize that your system, instead of feeling better, is feeling worse. So then it's obviously time to reevaluate and see.
You are saying it so well, Payal. I'm so happy you brought this, because this would have slipped my mind. Because you have to listen to your body. It is not a thing that I've started. It has to go. Like, for example, you build a house and suddenly you realize you don't have that money. You'll have to listen to the finances and see what modifications you can make, how you can go. You cannot hurt yourself. Absolutely. And so here, I think I really love this question that you asked. And so you have to be mindful of what is happening, listen to your body. Sometimes it will never work for some people, and therefore don't push yourself hard. Great question there. Great question. Yeah.
Next question, I think.
Let me look at the next question. Give me a second. Yeah. I think one of the other questions was... the other one was how much losing fat versus losing muscle. You will make out sometimes you lose weight drastically, and there is something not normal about it. If you have a dietitian or a nutritionist you consult, she will actually have a nice way of assessing how much weight you have, what's the weight you should lose. She might do your assessment of your total fat percentage in the body and then track that. So that will be interesting to see, because sometimes what happens is, people might go on a total non-carbohydrate diet. You might go on only protein diet. Then what happens is your muscle being utilized for energy. So just check on that. It's very important. That happens even when people exercise a lot on weights, whether they are losing muscle at some point of time. You have to see when you're going into exercise, what is it you're losing? Is it the fat or the muscle? And that is when, a dietitian's help will be very, very important.
So it's not something that you can just say by like a rule of thumb and say that, okay, if you do this and this is what you need to do. So you need to balance the whole activity out between fasting and exercise.
Yeah, and not only that, you should watch out how drastically or what is your weight loss, pattern, and just check for it. You see, if some people who are diabetic do lose weight rapidly and they become very thin, and that's because of the loss of muscles that happen in their body. And that is a concern. So you'll have to, this doesn't happen in intermittent too much, but if in an intermittent fasting, you're fasting completely, you're not eating, you're not regimented, you're not disciplined, then what happens is you're not getting any energy. Then therefore the fat might break, but sometimes the muscle may start breaking to give you that energy. So there might be different situations. I can talk about this a little more detailed, on a specific circumstances.
Yes, we do that. Yes.
Yeah.
There was another question also, ma'am, with great concern that I was thinking was about measuring calories. How do we know? A lot of people ask that question about how do we know how many calories, as in how do we count and quantify the calories? For instance, a slice of bread has a certain number of calories. A glass of juice also has a certain number of calories. How do we know the amount of calories we're consuming in terms of, over the day, and the specific calorie count that we should have when we are in the middle of intermittent fasting? So is there a way of checking it?
I think there are a lot of apps that are available. You could download some of the apps, but the best thing is, I would say, never calorie count. It's not required. As long as you have a variety and a balanced diet and you know how many servings you're having, that should be good enough. I think calorie counting never helps in the long run. But there was a question in the same thing, which is if I have a slice of bread which has 150
exactly.
calories and a glass of orange juice, that which is better? I would say definitely a slice of bread. But then if it's a white bread versus a whole grain bread, that would be the question I would go for, or that would be the mindful eating that I would look at. So if you have whole grain bread, 50% of your carbohydrate is whole grain, then you get the other nutrients and the fiber. Now, having an orange juice is not bad, but you remember that it takes away, it gives you the calories, but doesn't give you the other nutrient like carbs or fiber and things like that. So having a juice occasionally is okay to hydrate yourself, but between a bread and a thing, I think I would say go for a whole grain bread
slice of
for
bread.
The same calorie choice.
Yes, that's it. That's interesting. See, these are the things that one needs to be able to figure out. And for us, actually, unfortunately, what happens is a lot of these apps that are available are not always accessible for us to use with screen readers. So online, a whole lot of people, sort of look for online resources where they might be able to find what has how much calories, what is the calorie count of a particular thing that you're eating. So that's something that...
that's a good thing. So what we could do is, if people sort of send in their diet plan or what they eat, we could actually suggest to them what is the healthier alternative that they can do, a healthier choice. That's something that we can work through. That's what I've done before, long time. I don't go into counseling anymore. So I need to update myself. But what we did, which was interesting, is give a diet, not a diet. I don't even want to call it diet or calories or quantity. We would give them the eating plan for a day, and then give them choices.
A meal plan.
Meal plan. For example, instead of having a white bread, have a whole grain bread. And in the whole grain bread, what you could do is maybe use some multigrain with some seeds in it, which gives it that wholesomeness to eat. When you make chapatis at home as an equivalent of the bread, you could actually use a leftover of dal of the previous day, mix it with the dal. So you're actually giving a combination of dal with chapati. And you are a catering wizard, Payal, and you will know better these ideas of what you can do. And anything empty calories or refined carbohydrates is not something that will, that substitutes your nutrient density. So it's about the qualitative versus quantitative. I think it's always in a fasting type of a regimen. When the window is very, very small, it's just 8 hours versus a 12-hour or a 16-hour eating, then I think be mindful of what goes into your plate. And all you have to do is, vegetables, really, it's half the plate. Yeah, this is my carbohydrates, it's water. In this carbohydrate, is it wholesome carbohydrate or refined carbohydrate, like maida or wheat? Okay, I have wheat, but this is multigrain. I have a chapati with all the grains, or it is a johar, or whatever it is. And then in the other plate, I have enough lentils. I have meat, if I'm a meat eater, if I'm not a vegetarian, and then maybe a handful of nuts once in a while. So you know that the quality is already there. Then when you come to having dairy, you could have a cup of curd, pot of yogurt, or you could have a glass of milk. Then in the glass of milk, can I have a low fat? That is what is important when you're doing a weight control fasting period. That window, see that you are having less of saturated fat, less of fat in your cooking, and therefore you don't do that incremental energy boost in your, in that qualitative diet. So, and then of course, go low on sodium always. That's a thumb rule. Sodium should be always moderated, conscious about when you do. So what we could do is, if that's something we can work with you, I'll see if there are any apps available that's user friendly for you. If not, maybe we can do 1 or 2 sample diets for people, what they eat and what is the alternative. Then it becomes an easy game.
It's a reference point, it just becomes a reference point. And after that, whatever is available. Now, there are times that, something that you've eaten a particular day, you don't want to eat the same thing, or another time that you would have originally charted out. But then it's okay to sort of replace that with something else and, just work with what is available. There are other times that things are not available. So you can't punish yourself over that. And
you should never punish and make yourself unhappy. this is a wild card suggestion for you.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
have a panel with one of a chef, one of your own, people who are there on in this group, and you, and then we could talk and say, okay, I ate this. Then the chef can come with an
Yeah,
idea,
we'll
and
do
then
that. We'll do that. Yeah.
we can
That-
tell the chef, okay, chef, go slow on this. I know this idea is very good, but just go slow on this. Like
can
I
do.
learn a lot from my mothers when I do my program. I don't even think on those lines, and they surprise me with some lovely ideas that they do. And some of our own traditional food.
Yeah.
I can talk to you about serving sizes in one of the episodes. Using your hand itself is enough to know how you do your serving sizes.
Absolutely.
Your fist size is a serving size in terms of cereals. Okay, so andaz mein ek fist le lo, one full fist is one serving size. If it is your kid, less than 2 years, 3 years, it's their fist size. So that will be half the size of yours. So 6 serves of cereals or grainy food every day. So how much is it? 6 serves of your hand. That is half a cup of cooked rice, half a cup of cooked grains, any cooked grains. That is the serving size, which is very easy to remember. So let's do an exercise to mix and match what are serving sizes.
We'll do
In
that because
vegetables-
then they'll come, the fist size will come कि किसी का बड़ा fist size है, किसी का छोटा fist size.
उतना फर्क तो नहीं पड़ेगा. This question I get. So बड़ा fist size, so that means you need more. Don't worry. But at the same time, it's your fist size that you should use it. I think in New Zealand they do it, and I've loved the way that they make it so easy for you to understand.
No, but we also do that, we also do that. A lot of us, when we're, let's say, cooking dal for somebody or whatever it is, that's what I do. If I'm cooking for a family of 3, I put 3 fists full and maybe about half a fist upar se. So that is my quantity of dal for the 3 of us that are eating in the house.
Exactly. I mean, that's so easy, and you wouldn't have done it consciously, but now tomorrow when the people go, they will think about it very, very consciously and do it. Now, the fist size for cereals is different from the serving size for a lentil. It's very different, It's only for cereals you'll have a fist size. Then for a meat product, it will be your hand folded out. So your full length of your hand will be the 1 serving of fish. But if you then the forearm, I don't know what you call that. The center portion of the arm will be the size of the meat you have. Yeah, and then 2 small eggs will be 1 protein from the egg source. Maybe 20 grams of cheese will be 125 grams. 1 pot of yogurt is 250 ml. 1 glass is 1 serve of milk. Vegetables and fruits, cut vegetables, frozen vegetables, half a cup. So this is how the serving sizes are there. If you give me 2 minutes, maybe I'll go through that for you for an adult size, or I can do it later in another section.
No, that would be wonderful. Since we're talking about it, please take your time. It will be wonderful.
Okay, let me just take out, because there's a little latest thing that has come from the ministry. And let me take that out. Yeah,
because we're talking about this, and it sort of will, add depth to this entire discussion and make it more complete. You get all of those
I'll
things
do that.
there.
I'm just on my computer, so it's easier for me to talk to you. So let me start from vegetables. Why I start from vegetables is I say the highest number of serving that you can have is the vegetable serving. Okay, so at least 7 serves of vegetables and fruit, which means give me 5 of vegetables. So if you say 5 serves of vegetables, what does it translate to in terms of serving sizes? Don't count calories. You just count the serving sizes. So half a cup of any cooked vegetables, or a 1 cup of salads, or 1 medium apple, pear, banana, not a big one, but a medium size. 1 cup of fresh, canned, frozen, or steamed fruit salad. That is what the serving size is. So half a cup of cooked vegetables, half a cup of frozen vegetables, or a 1 cup of salad. So if you have leafy vegetables, you fold or hold both your hands together. How much of green leafy vegetables holds in that will be 1 serve of salad.
Okay.
Okay, that is 1 serve. And then potatoes or other kumara or yam will be a half a medium one, will be 1 serve. Now, can you have 5 serves of it? Let's look at a meal plan. Morning, what will you have? Maybe you will have an apple or a banana or an orange, 1 medium. Okay, that's 1 serve done. That is for fruit sizes, vegetables, let me see. Maybe you have potatoes or give me a breakfast idea more than me thinking. Give me an idea of a breakfast with vegetables.
With vegetables, it's
Maybe
never only
mushrooms with-
vegetables. It's never only vegetable. It's mixed. Like for instance, a lot of people do make an upma with vegetables in it. So that's in a way a whole meal.
It's a whole meal. So you'll have half a cup of cereals,
Hmm.
a quarter cup of cereals will become half a cup when you cook it, and maybe half a cup of mixed vegetables that you add. So you would have got it. Lunchtime, you can have a salad, 1 cup, maybe just a half a potato in your meal, and maybe you would have had, some tomatoes. And if you're making palak dal, you would have had at least 1 handful of palak for you. Once you cook, it becomes very little. It might even become a tablespoon. So 5 serves of vegetables is what you need, even when you are on an intermittent fasting. That's the qualitative demand that will come into your 8-hour window space.
Right.
So when you're mindful of it, you have to be planned during this fasting eating plan that you decide for yourself. So don't do it arbitrarily. Start planning. Okay. When it comes to grains or whole grains, 6 servings is your per day. Okay. On a diet, maybe you can make it 5 servings. So it means having half a cup of cooked noodles or oats or porridge, half a cup of cooked rice. So which means 1/4 cup, okay, which is raw. When you cook it, it becomes almost half a cup.
Okay.
Double. Okay. And then you have a bread will be half a bread. For medium sliced bread is 1 serve. So when you have 1 slice of bread, it means 2 serves are already there.
Right.
Or you have 2 crackers in the evening snack, which becomes another 1 serve. So that is how you add it to 6 serves, but maybe you could do even 5 serves in an intermittent fasting. But don't go slow. Try to have as much of vegetable servings as possible. And milk, only 2 serves are required. 1 glass of milk, maybe before going to bed, and maybe just a pot of yogurt. That will be the serving of dairy product. So that should be fairly possible if you look at it. It's not huge portion sizes. Yes. It's not huge. The number of serves look big. Because when I say 5, oh God, can I eat them 5 serves of it? But if you keep in your refrigerator or in your plan for the 7 days and say, I will do intermittent fasting. I will break my fast at, say, 7 in the morning, and I will finish my, how much will be the 8 hours? Maybe 5, I'll finish my meal. Or you start at 6 to 4 or whatever it is.
Whichever way, sometimes it might be 8 or 9 also in the morning to.
No, it's better. Yeah, 8 is much better, or it could be 12 also. It's okay. You take a 12-hour fasting, 12-hour eating window. But when you start and do plan and say, this day, this is what I'll have. And therefore, try to keep 6 serves of cereals. And out of that, 50% will be whole grains. Then take 5 serves of vegetables. Fruit is very handy. It's just a half a banana or a, medium-sized apple and things like that. So all you have to do is write in a pad, buy those, stock it, and start having it. Milk is very easy. I told you just 2 serves of milk brew every day. And that 2 serves could be just a glass of milk and a yogurt or a fruit salad. You can have you can make a baked yogurt, whatever you want to make to have one fancy day in your schedule. That is what it is. So it's not difficult. Even we used to wonder, how can one have so much? When you really portion it out, try this. I will send you a picture, and I will also send you mail as to what it exactly is.
Yes, that will be good.
So half a cup of cooked vegetables is 1 serve.
Right.
If it is a salad, it is 1 cup.
1 cup.
Okay.
You said frozen vegetables. What do you mean? Frozen vegetables are the uncooked vegetables, isn't it?
Yeah. When you buy frozen or salad, whatever it is, it's the same. The nutrition doesn't differ. But the serving sizes are the same, whether it's cooked or frozen, or, you take a half a cup of frozen and cook it. Or you take half a cup of cooked vegetables, raw vegetables, and cook it. But it should be half a cup at the end of the day when it is
the end result has to be half a cup.
Yes. That's very, very important for you. And so if you remember half a cup, you don't have to count your calories.
Correct.
Most of the vegetables are cooked for us. So it's half a cup. Okay. And then salad is 1 cup. Just remember these 2 to begin with. And then we can slowly, graduate to other type of servings.
Yes, yes. No, it makes sense
later.
because it's a concern. I saw most people asking about the calorie count, but this is so much easier to follow when you have the serving size for people like us, and when there isn't any real benchmark that we can go back to and say, okay, this is the calorie count for a particular thing. This is so much more sensible and so much more doable, really.
Exactly. And even for me, I used to, by heart the calorie counts of many of these foods. Now with this age, I don't remember, and I don't have to remember because I don't want to count calories. I want to be conscious what is there in my plate. And for me, I used to skip a lot of meals, and that was more not by design, but by default. But now when I do it with a conscious, and I know even when I pack my husband's food, I know that I've packed for him. Okay, I've given him some grains. I've given him some vegetables. Oh God, I'm missing a fruit. Let me put a wood and a cup of yogurt. And I know that the four groups are there. So 4 food groups: green leafy vegetable group and fruits group, veggies and fruits, grain group, protein group, dairy group. These are the 4 groups. Hydrate yourself. Don't forget to hydrate, especially during an intermittent fasting or any time. But when you're fasting, it doesn't mean you cannot drink water during your fasting period. You can drink enough water. So make up the number of serves of water that you have to have during the fasting period.
This is interesting. This is very interesting.
But always be conscious of your sodium and fat, because your weight loss, you cannot afford to have more fat. So just be conscious of that part of it. Okay. And what was the other question? Let's go on to the other question. There are some very interesting questions. I like the one which says, what are the physical signs and symptoms of deficiency? It depends on what deficiency it is. But if you're low on energy, you feel breathless, you feel tired easily, you fall sick easily, that means you might be iron deficient. Why I'm taking this topic is 23rd to 29th is the World Iron Awareness Week.
Oh, okay.
In India, almost 1 out of 2 women in India are iron deficient. In some parts of the country, almost 75% of the children, and that means 7 out of 10 children under 2 years are iron deficient. Now, that is something which is very important from various aspects. It's a very simple solution, but the problem is mammoth because of the number of people who go through iron deficiency.
Yes.
Especially
the density.
The density. And also what happens, your immunity level goes down because iron has to go with protein, which is hemoglobin. He means iron. Globin means protein. And that's the one that the red blood cells have hemoglobin and they take the oxygen to every part of the body. So the moment you have less iron in your body, you don't have so much of circulation of hemoglobin in the body, and there's not much oxygen going to different parts of the body, especially your brain. So you get headache, you feel tired, you lack concentration, and a few things. Today, I was thinking about other effects with COVID, with pandemic. One of the things that really affects you is breathing, your oxygen supply going down. What would be the case? I'm just thinking aloud. I'm not the person to be able to answer it. I don't want to confuse few people out there, but just think a little solution of improving your iron status through diet, if it is possible. Then, you at least will have enough oxygen sufficiency when you get into sort of an infection because of the virus. And that is why this iron awareness becomes very, very important. People become anemic for various reasons, but one of the predominant reasons is because of iron deficiency.
You don't even realize it. You don't even realize. Sometimes you have the signs right in front of you, but because we are not aware of why it's happening or what iron deficiency actually is all about. We don't read the signs.
And we don't read it, or we are too busy in our world. Our world is so encompassed with very trivial things. And I have lost about 20 years of my life, but fortunately I've been lucky, not falling sick or anything. But then I always look back and say, if only you were conscious of your health, if only you were mindful, because you always felt you had the world on your head, and you were to take care of that except yourself. Especially women.
That's true.
I think They don't take care of themselves. And so one take-home message today is, when you're talking about asking me a question about signs of nutritional deficiency, sometimes they are hidden. It's called as hidden hunger. When there are nutritional deficiencies of some micronutrients like folate, B12, zinc, they don't throw up a very obvious symptom.
Right. So true.
That
so
is why
true.
it's called as hidden hunger. So this month is Iron Awareness Month. This 23rd to 29th, maybe get a little test done. It's a very simple test, a pinprick test, which will tell you how much is your hemoglobin level. And if you do another test, you can tell how much of the storage of iron level, and then find out if it is a diet-related iron deficiency or any other reason. Sometimes people have frequent indigestion. So, and therefore your intestine gets affected, therefore your absorption of nutrients get affected. So you may be getting enough iron in the diet, but you may not be absorbing it. Or there could be other reasons why this is not happening. But ruling out most of the reasons, you'll find predominantly it could be because of lack of iron in the diet. Why is that? We are vegetarians basically, so we need more iron. Now there are a lot of inhibitors. Suppose you eat whole meal food, it has got good iron, but the fiber in the meal inhibits. Again, in India, we drink coffee left, right, and say, or have a cup of chai with a samosa. We have a cup of chai after meal, before meal. That inhibits iron absorption. One of the very big reasons for it. So we should be conscious of that and maybe give a gap at least 1.5 hours before and after meal, before we have a tea or coffee. And then having a lot of oranges, amla. We know traditionally you have amla, and fresh amla, which can help.
Pomegranate. Right now is the season for pomegranate. I can just eat up two, just like that, 2 full pomegranates, just like that.
Don't tell me. We get good ones, but I miss the Hyderabadi ones.
They're beautiful, and right now we have fabulous ones. I think it's the season, because I'm getting such fabulous ones. It takes so long to shell it, but it takes no time to finish it up.
I think for us, this 2 years have taught us nothing is more important than the quality of life. I don't know much, Payal. I am only happy to tell you what I know, or to read up, or also self-reflect on my own mistakes and tell you don't make those mistakes. This is all I could offer.
But that's what's more important, any kind of reading. I mean, that's the idea of interacting with people like you and so many others, that they share personal experiences and knowledge out of your own learning. That is more important to us.
And also our own mistakes.
Absolutely.
That we do. Yes. So any food combinations we would avoid. I would say definitely having tea or coffee with your meal, you could avoid. If there are specific drugs you're taking, just find out what drug, is there any interactions. Normally, any heavy calcium supplementations, very high doses of calcium will inhibit with your iron. So therefore, you have to see that, your iron nutrition is increased. And in any fasting, your nutrient levels will go down. That is another flip side of dieting. You may not have qualitative density, and therefore you'll miss 1 or 2 nutrients. So you have to maybe ask your doctor if you can have a supplement that may be required during the dieting period, but don't pop pills without asking or consulting.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else you want me to do? Anything?
I'm just thinking if there's any other questions, if you have them open. These were some of them.
I have them. One is, does being vegetarian or vegan deprive one of any vital nutrients? Vegetarian diet is equally good. Let me say that, because it gives you, that much nutrients that it is. But of course, you have to have, some of them should be had in large quantities to get the nutrient. Iron, for example. We believe spinach is good. That's what we believe. But the iron is not available. So you should have it, cook it in a way that you can cook it with a little bit of potatoes, maybe some lime, or maybe green chilies, which we are so used to having. Green chilies has a lot of vitamin C that will enhance your thing. So the short answer to your question is, vegetarian deprive you? Not necessarily, if you have a balanced diet. Most of us are vegetarian and we have survived beautifully.
Protein,
we
mainly the
may
concern, ma'am. I've noticed that when you talk of vegetarian food and things like that, most often the concern that pops up is, are we getting enough protein in a vegetarian diet?
you will, depending on if you're a complete vegan, you don't have dairy, then there would be a challenge of what you're going to eat. Because when you look at protein group itself, you only need 2 serves in a day for protein, because you get protein from the other foods, the cereals, the vegetable group. So when you look at, this is something interesting that you're telling me, and I'm throwing this perspective. I've not thought of this even before. I told you, draw a plate, divide the plate into half for vegetables. Okay. Now all vegetarians eat vegetables. Correct?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Then I said 5 plus 2. 5 of vegetables, 2 of fruits. So all vegetarians have that. Okay. Now the other quarter plate is whole grains, and half of them is whole grains. Do vegetarians have it?
Yes.
Yes. So you've covered it there. Then another almost a quarter will be your protein food, which is meat and lentils, which is 2 serves. Okay. If you have, like, for example, quinoa has a very good source, but some people will say it's very expensive. Then we can look at other protein sources from the cereal variety itself. So pulses we have, the nuts we have, the peanuts that we have, or having chickpea that we have. Chickpea has become such a large innovation idea for making a vegetable protein, plant-based proteins. People are shifting. Now what? And the other is the dairy side where you can get the protein. So tell me, 2 serves is what they recommend. Or maybe 3 serves for vegetarian from the protein group, or 2.5 serves you can go, and only 2 serves from the people who eat meat. So that's not much of a difference. So that itself, that whole division of your food plan will tell you there's no difference between a vegan diet and from a non-veg diet.
You just need to be conscious. I mean, it's about decision making. It's about choosing the right things. As far as, I mean, from what I'm listening, it's about knowing what to pick. That's the important.
Exactly. And being conscious. We are not. I was not. Believe me, it takes you a while and a jolt to say how easy it is and how you've taken it for granted. And it's so therefore disease is so removed from our lives. A sickness is removed from our lives till it happens or it strikes somebody close to us. But these are preventable. Some of them are lifestyle related. I think I told you when we had our first interview, follow the 80-20 rule, which means 20% is your genetics, 80% is lifestyle, which can be controlled. It's in your hands. I said 80% of your immune cells are in your gut. So therefore, taking care of your food and the gut health is great for your overall health and your mental health. So the gut-brain axis. So remember, it's all in the way you're conscious of it. It's not a big task. You just have to practice this for a month, being conscious. Then it becomes blind driving after that.
Part of everything that you do by instinct. And like you said, chickpea is so interesting. Chickpea, there's so much that can be done with the black chana and the white chana. The black chana, of course, is magic. So there's so much that can be done with the...
if you even listen to some of the cook shows and all that, there are some ideas from traditional wisdoms. Have a look, keep listening to that. And so the only thing I have to check is whether you guys have something user-friendly apps for calorie counts. I don't know myself, but let me...
That'd be nice if you can check, or we will also perhaps start looking out, for people, because there are available. I know that. I see those Healthify and those kind of things. There are various ones.
I don't use them. As I said, don't even go into calorie count. Maybe we can do a practical session with people online saying that, okay, take a serving size. How much is this? Just look at it. Finally, when you have a feel of how much it is, when you touch and sense it, it's my hand fist. Anybody can do it. It's as easy as that. Okay.
Really, I think because the apps just complicate matters and it makes you just so, so fussy about it because you want to be right. You're conscious about it. You're trying to do things right. And it just, I think, drives you off the wall more than anything else.
Absolutely. Even I have never done a calorie counting. I do it initially, but it's difficult for people who are not into that practice. It may be necessary for a nutritionist to do a calorie count, but she needs to translate it into a behavioral possibility.
Ultimately, that's the job. No, that's what they do. Ultimately, when they tell you also after your first meeting with the nutritionist, because I've seen people do it. And after their first meeting with the nutritionist, it's all ultimately broken down to what they're eating. It's not about what they're counting.
You cannot count. So calorie count is just out of the way.
Great.
I don't know if anybody listen.
There'll be happy people out there. There'll be very happy people that they don't have to worry about how many calories to count.
I'm not good at that either. I don't even go into that area of calorie count. And but I tell them like 1 gram of sugar gives you 4 calories, whether it's a brown sugar, white sugar, yellow sugar, sugar is sugar. So don't believe in yourself saying that I had brown sugar, so I'm having healthy. It's the same calories you're getting on a weight control.
In fact, I just was seeing there was a very interesting, I must pick that out. I'll send it to my friends also, and I'll send it to you as well. The BBC show Food Chain had something to do about the calorie, about why the calorie was first invented and what it has come down to. Is it time to ditch the calorie? It was something like that. I must look for it and send it out.
You look for it. Even I will look, and if I find it, I'll
have the link because I have the podcast. So I'll have the link. Okay. I'll send it to you. I did listen to it myself. I meant to, but this discussion has sort of, brought it up back to me. And I think all of us should be sitting and listening to this.
I have 2 things. I have a video on food safety, safety in Shopping Smart. It's a video that we had done for the New Zealand and for the world based on the guidelines. With the pandemic, I think it will be interesting, that video. Let me share that with you. Why I said this was, there's one more question to say, how do you read labels? Now, the little disadvantages I have.
Yes. Mostly, if there's enough spoken content, it's just as clear. So.
Yeah, for reading labels, I don't have an Indian label. Let me go online and download some food labels that are there in India. Or if you have a product, you send it to me. I'll do a separate one on how to read a label. What should you see? How do you interpret it? Do you look at 100-gram serving size? What are the main things that you have to watch in a label? That's all you need. And, packed foods, you can count your calories if you want, because when you look at the pack, but you'll have to look for how much sodium is there. If you buy a canned food and say, I have a canned tomato, normally in India, we don't need to do that because we get such fresh vegetables out there. But if you buy a can, be wary of the sodium content, because sometimes it's preserved in brine or salt. Yes, and therefore you'll have to wash it off the water and then use it because the sodium is high. Or if you're having a sardine, it's also got very high salt content. We have a lot of pickles in down south and maybe in the north also. So be careful of the salt and the sodium the pickles. So those are the watch outs, I would say. Reading label is important, but it's a different chapter by itself.
Yes, I know. We must check this out also. I'll be conscious of it, because sometimes when we buy meats, for instance, that are marinated, you get meats that are marinated, ready to cook. Also have various things. They say you don't need oil, you just need to put it in a pan, but there's so much that has already gone into it. The next time I get something like that, I'm going to take a screenshot of the label and send it to you, and we'll see what all there is in it and how we can break that down.
Absolutely. And maybe each of them can just send a pack shot, maybe 2 or 3 of them, and then we can read through that as another session.
Fabulous.
Happy to be with you guys. You guys make my day.
Thank you so much for spending much quality time with us, all the way from New Zealand, when it's time for you to actually call it a day. So thanks again.
I gain a lot, Payal. You're doing a great job. Keep doing it. Keep rocking. We're there for you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we will, come back with, I'm sure, lots more. Okay.
I think we'll work on some sort of a schedule where I will keep a time dedicated to this. Okay,
Sure.
I'll work
And
around.
I know you're busy and things have been very, very busy for you as well. And it's taken us so long to do this, but it's never too late in any case. So.
It's not busy, but I think because of the iron awareness bill, that's a topic very close to my chest. I would definitely recommend that you address that topic. And I will share with you the information that we are doing on the social media. Absolutely. If you go to my social media also, you'll have a lot of that. You can use it because women talking about the deficiencies and things like that. If you get an access to that, that if that is useful, kindly give this month for iron awareness, raise iron awareness. Yes. That will be good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Take care. Have a good day. Bye.
एपिसोड यहाँ तक ही। बहुत सारी इम्पोर्टेंट बातें हमने जानी। हम आगे भी सुनते रहेंगे न्यूट्रिशन से रिलेटेड और क्वेश्चन, और आपसे बात करेंगे अगले एपिसोड में। तब तक के लिए सुनते रहिए रसोई के रहस्य। लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और शेयर जरूर कीजिएगा। सो सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम।